Who are the Defenders' biggest rivals? Welcome back to Defending Football. As you guys know, I cover the DC Defenders and the UFL, of course. Today's going to be who is the DC Defenders' biggest rival in the UFL. I'm bringing up 4 different teams today. We're going to start off with the most popular team in the UFL, the St. Louis Battlehawks. The Battlehawks versus the DC Defenders go all the way back to 2020, where the DC Defenders squeaked out a win 15-6 with their backup quarterback against, guess who? Jordan Ta'amu. Their first matchup in 2023, the DC Defenders clutched out a victory 28-20. And then a few weeks later, they met once again in St. Louis, where DC took care of business once again, 34-28. If you see a theme with those scores, they are all one score in the XFL, USFL at the time, because a one-score game in these leagues is actually 9 points. The all-time points against each other, DC has 77. And St. Louis only has 54. They are very close on the scoreboard every time they play. They have never played more than a one-possession game. The only problem I have with this rivalry is if it's a rivalry, you gotta win some, right? Well, that's not the case. The DC Defenders have taken care of St. Louis 3-0 all time. The bonus reasons I'm giving for St. Louis is the fights by the Battlehawks and DC, 2 of the biggest fan bases in the UFL, and just the color schemes of the 2 teams go against each other. Red versus blue. You can't get more basic than that. We're going to move on to maybe the statistically best rival for the DC Defenders, the Arlington Renegades. They've only played 2 games all time, and they were this season in the XFL. The first score was a overtime thriller where the DC Defenders ended up winning the game 28-26. And obviously the championship game where the Renegades pulled off the 35-26 victory, stunning the Defenders. And again, all one-score games so far, but DC is 1-1 against Arlington. All-time points, DC has 54, and Arlington has 61. So again, very close in scores, all one-possession games. And my main reason for this is the championship game. That is a huge thing, is losing the championship game to the Renegades. Nobody really expected the Renegades to do anything this year with their anemic offense, but Luis Perez stepped in and ended up taking him all the way and winning the championship, which nobody saw coming. And of course, on top of that, an overtime win is also a very thrilling, good rivalry-making game. And these teams do not like each other, just kind of like St. Louis. Moving on to the San Antonio Brahmas. This one is not much of a rivalry yet, as they have only played 1 game all time, and it was the last game for the Defenders, so they were kind of already in the playoffs, so it didn't really matter, but they ended up playing hard. And they ended up bouncing the Brahmas out of the playoffs by beating them, which in turn let Arlington into the playoffs, which, looking back, we probably should have just lost on purpose. But it was a one-score game where the Brahmas missed a game-winning field goal at the end, and that, of course, sent them out of the playoffs. So I think DC fans don't really care about this one, but Brahmas fans are probably pretty salty. And maybe our sleeper rival for the UFL, we have not ever seen them play. But guess what? It is the Birmingham Stallions. Obviously, everybody wants to knock off the defending, 2-time defending USFL champions. There's only one problem. They won 2 championships, but never had to play the DC Defenders. This year is going to be a little bit different. We don't even have our QB1, and it doesn't matter. We are still going to beat the Birmingham Stallions, and it is going to be a great game. Overall, statistically, the Renegades, I think, are the best rival for DC, but yet I still have to go Battlehawks, just because the fan bases, the environment, the fights, and the overall dirty nature of the play every time that these 2 teams lace them up, and it is always a good game. So I'm sorry if you are a Battlehawks fan, you've never won, you've never beaten us, and it's not going to start this year. So hopefully you guys did enjoy this video, especially if you're a DC Defenders fan. We will be covering more UFL news as it drops. So let me know in the comment section down below who you think DC's biggest rival actually is. And I'm going to get out of here. So for the love of football, defend football, baby!